Okay, Smackdown. Um, this definitely wasn't a vintage episode of Smackdown. In fact, it wasn't very good at all. It was a bit of a promo fest, which I suppose is fitting as we're building up to the Summer Fest right now. No, it was a bit of a promo fest. Not only were there too many promos, but the people delivering the promos were not good at promo. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to like this show. When they advertised it at the start, the main thing on the show, a Matt Hardy promo. No, I do not want to see that, right? Even if the WWE writers had come up with the most ingenious psychological reason why Matt Hardy had turned face, which we all knew they wouldn't, and they didn't, but even if they had done that, Matt Hardy would fuck it up with his god-awful delivery. And he did. This was a terrible promo. It really was. He tried to be sincere, but it was awful. The crowd loved it. I thought it was terrible. Anyway. Okay, the first match, Rey Mysterio and Crime Time versus Dolph Ziggler, Chris Jericho, and The Big Show. This was a good match. There were two good six-man tag matches on this episode of SmackDown. And I was like, yeah, they were good, but six-man tag match, you know, it's kind of the lowest form of wrestling, if you know what I mean. But anyway, Rey Mysterio comes out, he gets a huge pop, and Crime Time's popularity appears to vary from arena to arena because Crime Time came out, and quite often they get big pops, but this audience was clearly full of people who are like-minded with me and Bobby in thinking that Crime Time are shit because they didn't react to them at all. I hate the way they're booking this Jericho Big Show angle. I really do, making Jericho look awful. Every time the Big Show was in the ring, he looked invincible. Every time Jericho got in the ring, the opponents made a tag, or JTG humiliated him, or he got dominated. I mean, it was awful. I hated it. It was, and JR did that terrible thing on commentary where he started saying, oh, you know, you start talking about how dependent Jericho is on the Big Show, and I'm like, JR, don't say these things, please. But he did do the good thing, the thing all good commentators do when they know they've done something wrong. He said not to take anything away from how great an athlete Jericho is, etc., etc., etc. So, fair enough. There was nice chemistry at the start between Jericho and Mysterio, as you'd expect. It was quite a nice flowing match. I don't think anyone really got dominated for a long period of time. There were lots of tags and lots of different matchups and stuff. Shad was awful. He was awful again. He got the hot tag at one point and just embarrassed himself. He delivered the world's most oxymoronic power slam. It truly was. It was just like, it was terrible. He's awful. Crime Time delivered their low impact tag team moves to no pop at all. Anyway, the end of this match was quite good. Mysterio delivers a frog splash off Shad's shoulders, which was kind of good, but it was on Jericho, and of course they were suggesting Jericho was going to get pinned there, but Ziggler broke up the fall. And the end of the match comes when Jericho gets hit with the 619 by Mysterio, suggesting he was going to get pinned again. That's twice in this match. Mysterio is holding his head out in the ropes from after performing the 619, and the Big Show knockout punches him. I thought it was a good ending. Big Show didn't really connect with the knockout punch particularly well, but I really did like the ending. I thought it was a good idea. And Ziggler runs in and gets the pin for some reason. Anyway, we have a Kane interview, a Kane promo rather. This was good. This was a good promo. It actually was good. It's a shame Kane's so utterly irrelevant and what he's talking about is such nonsense that I don't care at all. Anyway, Great Khali comes in and delivers the world's most slow and embarrassing beatdown ever. Then we have Mike Knox versus Finlay. We get a pre-taped promo from Knox talking about Finlay being paralysed with fear. I know some people like this. I really don't get why. Seriously, whenever he starts doing this, I just laugh at how bad it is. God knows. This match was awful. It was a brawl at the start. Knox looked terrible in it. Sometimes he looks salvageable. Most of the time he looks terrible. He delivered some abysmal looking backbreakers. I mean, really awful. And then we got the classic Mike Knox finish where basically he refuses to stop punching and the referee DQs him. I'm kind of sick of this. I wish Finlay had just taken the pinfall, really. That would have made I'd be much happier with that. I mean, why have this a draw? You know, Finlay's clearly going nowhere. You've just developed a character for Mike Knox. Mike Knox has to win. Anyway, then we get the Jeff Hardy promo. Oh, this was awful. Basically, they've got the same set they had for his ladder match against Edge, you know, the one with all the ladders. They've got that except with tables and chairs. Jeff Hardy comes out, and this promo just contains some of the most ridiculous lines ever. First of all, he talks about how he's got doctor's orders and how he's going to, how they said he had to retire, but he's going against doctor's orders like he always does, because he lives in the moment, man. And yeah, he's going to fight CM Punk at SummerSlam. So, hopefully, this means Hardy is leaving. Hopefully. But they might be doing a swerve here because everyone thinks Hardy's leaving. I really hope that isn't the case. But anyway, he says, Jeff Hardy, they cheer every line he says, and some of it is gibberish. This is what he says. Steel chair clashing with humanity is a song I wrote a long time ago and it still rings a bell. What? That is nonsense. That is total nonsense. And then later Punk says something like, Jeff Hardy's so obsessed with his own ego that he believes he can fly. And he says, Punk, I don't think I can fly. My spirit knows I can. Anyway, CM Punk comes out and he does some nice stuff here actually. He doesn't, you know, Punk manages to say roughly the same thing every week, but make it different enough that it's good. And this was good once again. He says the audience and Jeff Hardy enable each other. They both need each other to, you know, rely on their ways. I'm going to prove that straight edge is better. I'm going to beat Jeff Hardy. Then he pushes Jeff Hardy off the ladder. But Jeff Hardy lands on his feet, twists a fatum, and then the ladder accidentally falls on both of them and it hits Hardy on the head, I think. I don't really know. Well, Jeff Hardy's bit of the promo was awful. CM Punk's was good. Then we had Melina Maria versus Natalya and Layla, with Michelle McCool on commentary, who was surprisingly good on commentary. She was actually really quite funny. The first thing she said was, she said something about the only thing worse than Maria's athletic ability is that outfit she's wearing, which I found enjoyable. It's not worse than Maria's athletic ability, by the way, as proved by Maria's clotheslines. Oh my god. Natalya got in the match and proved she was clearly the best person in this match by doing a surfboard on Melina and then bringing it down and keeping the legs in surfboard position but dragon sleepering Melina. Thought that was great. Natalya's clearly awesome, but she takes the pinfall, not Layla. She takes the pinfall. Are you serious? Melina gets the win as you'd expect. Word up. Oh. So, Crime Time are down because they just lost their match early in the night. So, Jesse gives them a pep talk. This was... It's your boy, Slam Master J. I preferred when he was calling himself Jeezy. Anyway, this was awful. I hated this. Hated. Basically, they were like... Jesse was like, you can be Christina, man. And then they just showed pictures of Chris Jericho in a dress and wearing a bra. I was like, oh, this is so awful. Then they showed pictures of the Big Show being fat, and I was like, fair enough. But Jericho, why is Jericho being humiliated in this way? Anyway, why it seems to me, right, Jericho is a heel. The fans seem to always win. They seem to always get their own way. They always get their revenge on Jericho. Why? Why can't Jericho be the heel that always gets away with it? It annoys me. Anyway, last match, main event, CM Punk and the Hart Foundation versus John Morrison and the Hardy Boys. I like the fact CM Punk was wearing pink and black as well, so they're all matched up. I've compared CM Punk to Bret Hart before, and I think that comparison really stands. Bret Hart is a better wrestler for now, but CM Punk's kind of, there's no wasted motion in the ring, you know, he knows how to use his moves, he knows exactly when to use them. I really like CM Punk. There was lots of good stuff in this match. This was a fun match. A good bit of Kid and Morrison at the start. Then there was lots of tag team moves. Hardy's hit Poetry in Motion. They hit a nice wheelbarrow suplex together. And then Matt held DH in a Russian leg sweep position, tagged in John Morrison, and John Morrison did a horizontal leg sweep. That was nice. Morrison landed a clean shooting star press. Punk did some nice stuff with Morrison in the middle. Lots of fast tags again. No one gets dominated. They weren't playing to a formula in these two 6-man tag matches. Anyway, end comes. Hardy, by the way, botched the Whisper in the Wind in the most ridiculous way imaginable, from the second rope, which he only managed to get up to, and then over Punk's head. That was embarrassing. End comes. Matt gets the hot tag, which doesn't work at all because he's too slow and can't get the crowd into it even remotely. Morrison disposes the Hart Dynasty and looks fantastic doing it. And then Jeff hangs up Punk on the ropes and Matt hits a Twist of Fate. No, I don't want to see Matt Hardy get pushed at all. And this has nothing to do with SummerSlam. This has nothing to do with SummerSlam. Surely Jeff should go over to put some suspense on SummerSlam. Why? Matt is awful.